Nothing hurts like missing pieces. Nothing stays the same. I wish I could have saved you, but I had to save myself first.
So that was my attempt to try and play the song Heaven by Adept. So I was really excited when I saw Adept had dropped a new track because this is their first new track in like 9-10 years. Like they've been gone a very long time. I honestly didn't know they were coming back. Then they dropped this awesome track and All Is Well in the World again. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, I am going to be determined to learn this as quick as possible. There was no tabs I could find at the time. The song had been out for like 10 hours or something at the time of doing this video, but really what I wanted to do is kind of get the tone on there. It's a, you know, it's a nice modern metal tone. There isn't a super lot going on, but I did kind of go a little bit above what I usually do on some EQ and stuff this time because I wanted a really nice sound. Now, first things first, this song's in drop B tuning. That's what it sounded like to me anyway. It could be in a different tuning entirely. I used a transpose to go down 3 semitones from drop D down to drop B tuning. That's turned off if you're using the Quad Cortex and downloading this. That's grayed out, but if you need to tune down and you don't want to tune your guitar down, that's what the transpose is for. I'm going to go from the beginning here. There's 2 scenes. There's rhythm and lead. I didn't really play a whole lot lead in that video. I was going to work out the solo and I was like, you know, it would have taken me a while to actually figure out how to do it nice and clean. And I really just wanted to kind of get the main essence of the song, so to speak. And I worked out that little lead part at the start, and this playthrough was, it's not, I don't do 1-1 tone playthrough, so this wasn't meant to be perfect, but I wanted to get close enough, especially on the tone. So enough of that out of the way, we're going to go from left to right. I've got a noise gate on here. Didn't use the lane input gate like I usually do, because I felt like I needed to modify how the sound gated in this instance, just because it sounded better. I've got active pickups as well, so your guitar pickups may sound different and may need to be tweaked accordingly. I've got the classic tube screamer on here, the green 808. So any tube screamer Maxon type pedal, if you're not using the Quad Cortex, will work. I didn't push the level to 10 because I wanted the amp to kind of fill in that space a little bit. So I only went to 8 in this instance. A lot of metalcore and whatnot, you push the 10 and use it as a boost. I still wanted the boost and the EQ you get from this pedal, but I just didn't want to like overwork the amp because I wanted to be able to push the gain up on the amp, as you'll see in a second. So that's what I did there. Of course, if you've seen any of my other videos or you play heavy music, you're well aware of the EVH 5153. It's just a high gain workhorse. To me, it's one of the best amps from metal, and that's kind of what I went with here. The gain at 6.5, and obviously I've got that up, and then the tube screamer down at the 8 level, as I showed you, because I wanted to be able to push the gain up a little bit more. Left the bass at 5, scooped the mid just slightly. It's not a super scooped sound. Pushed the treble up to 6.5, the presence up to 6, and the resonance up to 5.5, and then set the master to 12 o'clock at 5 there. And that kind of gets you that nice bass level rhythm tone. For the cabinet, I went for the 412 EV straight G12 cabinet on here. and I found that had kind of the best sound. I did high pass and low pass the cab because it cleans up the IR of the cab itself. Makes it sound a little less digital, more realistic, because it kind of tames out that some of the high and low end like a real cabinet would. And that's kind of just something I tend to do. I did change this right microphone here to the Ribbon 121, and I did push the position and the distance out just a little bit from the center and of the edge of the cone there, just to kind of compensate the 57 and get us a cleaner, less crackly type overdrive sound, which you can tend to get if you kind of have things too close to the center. I still wanted some brightness, but I didn't want it to be like super bright to the point where I'm EQing out a ton of stuff. Now, speaking of EQ, I do have a parametric 8 EQ on here, and I went and made 7 cuts on here, well, 7 adjustments. Really 6 cuts, because 1 and 7 are high and low pass, but 1 I did a high pass at 90. At 2 I did a dip at the 250 mark by 3 decibels, Q size 1. At the 500 mark I did a scoop of 4, Q size 1.4. And then as we kind of get up towards the high end, I do boost a little bit. So 1000, I did 2 decibel boost at 1.2 Q size. And then I did a 2.5 boost at 3000 at 1.5. And then at 6, we kind of started to taper off here on some of that high end fizz. I did a -1, 6,500 cut, Q size 1, just because I didn't want to introduce any fizz into there by doing too many of these things. But you see, it's like a very gradual sort of adjustment. We scoop out some of the mid and whatnot, and then a little bit of the highs we adjust, because I was approaching this from a gent perspective. It's not a gent tone, but there are some similarities in that tone that kind of lend themselves to modern metal as a whole. So that's the kind of reasoning for this EQ. And then lastly, I did a low pass at 10K just to kind of clean things up and round it off and bring it all home. So that's the rhythm tone. That's the majority of this video. At the start of the video, you can hear there's a lead on there. And I did actually make some adjustments for the lead on here. So I pushed the presence up on the lead. I pushed the mids up on the lead as well from 4.5 to 6. I pulled back the gain. Sometimes you push the gain up, but this isn't a high gain lead tone. I found out I needed to pull it back just to kind of get it a little bit nicer. And then on the EQ as well, I did make some adjustments. So I think at 3, I'm adjusting the cut on here. I'm only doing a 2.5 cut because I didn't want to kind of scoop it too much for a lead tone. So that's why we've got that. At 4, I'm doing 1200 for the lead and doing a higher boost, which is slightly different from the 1000 and the 2 decibel in the rhythm. Once again, pushing some of those highs up. The Q size I push up again. I'm controlling these with scenes on these individual scene parameters. At 5 as well, I've left that alone because I didn't really need to make any adjustments. And then I didn't do anything on the 6.5 or the low and high pass. Now, I did add a delay in there, just very subtle delay. I was going to try and replicate that intro. It sounds almost like an acoustic style guitar, but I didn't kind of go down that path. I just wanted something that was kind of a little bit leady. So I did 420 milliseconds delay time, mix 22, slight feedback, didn't touch the tone, and left the trails on. Any delay and kind of any settings that you do, provided it's not too heavy, will do the job, just to kind of give it a little bit of definition. Once again, plate reverb in there as well, just to kind of widen it and give it a bit more of a leadness. Pretty conservative settings on there, I would say. The decay I pushed up to 60, but the mix is on 18. The LF damping is up to 70. The HF damping is down to 55. It says 55.1, but 55. And the mod depth of 25, and that is the preset. So I've uploaded this onto the cloud. If you have a Quad Cortex, it's linked in the description. You can download this and play with it. It would work for a lot of modern high gain metal sound. It's not just specifically for this song, because the tone in this song is pretty, you've heard this tone and a lot of other sort of modern stuff, but we're not kind of taking the clarity out of, you hear there's chords and whatnot in there, and we're not removing that clarity. We are kind of being a little bit delicate in that. So yeah, use this for some other stuff as well. And If you're using these settings here as a guide to recreate this in a plugin or another modeler, let me know, because I know some of you are actually following along into these videos and recreating these tones on other devices and plugins and stuff, which I think is cool, and the reason that I go through the preset at the end. So if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed, and maybe I'll see you around the next video. See ya.